Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is ready, fresh for the next 1 hour. I believe the gates are closed, right, so that nobody can run away during the talk. And that's the reason we are having it in the 5th floor, so that you can even jump out. Okay, so like Paul mentioned, my previous background was I was working with the AdWords team in Google for nearly 1.5 years. And prior to that, I was working in an SEO agency. So I guess if you have any questions related to analytics with AdWords or with SEO, I think I can help you there. Okay? And one more thing, this presentation is going to cover the basics of the product, of what is analytics, why do you want to use it, how do you want to use it. So if you are really a power user in Google Analytics, you may have to bear with me. And feel free to stop me and ask questions anytime during the presentation. Okay? Okay, the brief overview of the product. So many of you should be knowing about, first question, who uses, any of you people using a web analytics package? It need not be Google Analytics, a general web analytics package. Okay, that's pretty neat. How many of you among this use Google Analytics? Oh, thank you, most of them. So, like you all know, Google Analytics is a free product. And you get around 80 plus reports, and the advantage with this is you can download reports, you can compare reports with the historical date range, or for that matter you want to email the report to your boss or to your client or someone, you can just do it straight away. Apart from that, you can also use analytics in tandem with other Google products. For example, if you're using AdSense for your website, or you want to promote, you're promoting your website using AdWords, or say you're using Google Custom Search. So Google Analytics can be used in tandem with all these products. I'll be showing all this how it can be done in the coming slides. So the general overview, I've talked with a couple of people who aren't much into this PPC or rather the SEM industry, and who knows a touch about web analytics. So when I talk about them, they say like, well, web analytics is only for CEOs because they make the decisions, or only for the marketing team, or only for the finance team because they are the one who is approving the budget for marketing. But we generally categorize it in 3 ways. So if you are a webmaster, we have the type of reports that's used for you. If you are an executive, whether it's like the mid-level executive or the senior level cadre, that's fine. We have reports for you there. And if you are a marketer, if you are running the AdWords or the YSM campaigns for your website, again, we have the respective reports. So how many of you are webmasters in this gathering? Okay, I'll be coming to you people shortly. So these are the general type of questions that people ask. One can be, you have a shopping cart and you see people are abandoning your shopping cart. Can I find that information using analytics? Yes, you can. Or say you're curious, like I'm always curious. The first report I check in my Google Analytics is, where are the visitors coming from? Are they from Hyderabad, Bangalore, India? Or I see one visitor from America, I'm like, wow, I'm an MNC website. And you can also find information like, not only from where the visitors are coming from, you will find information like, why are they leaving your website? Or from which particular pages are they leaving your website? So if in terms of webmasters or a website designer, this type of information will help you to decide the future course of your website. So these are the standard information that you can see. Like you get information like visits, like how many visits are there, or out of the visits, how many absolute unique visitors, or what is the time spent on your site, what's the average page views. And these are some of the standard reports. Apart from that, you also see information like visitor segmentation there. So that's where like you want to know for this particular page how many people use Safari, or how many people use Chrome, how many people use Firefox, information like that. Let's have a look at some of the reports that I thought will be useful for you, but I guess most of you would have already seen these reports, but let's run through them. Please bear with me because there will be a lot of screenshots here and I'll be the one who's going to do the talking, so I'm sorry about that. So first report we are going to look at is the all traffic sources report. Now, if you are investing some money in SEO efforts, or you are promoting your website through the PPC campaigns or through affiliate, banner ads, direct boardings, whatever. Now you want to know where the visitors are coming from. So this is where you are going to see. So you are, all the traffic sources from where the visitors are coming from will be listed here. If you notice, you have information like visits, you have information like page views, and then time on site, percentage new visits. But the main thing to note is there are two other tabs called goal conversion and e-commerce. So that's where the main, that's where you need to spend most of the time, because now I know google.com is referring me 5,000 visits. Okay, that's fine, but what next? Now, assuming I'm an e-commerce website, or I'm a lead gen website, so I've already defined my goals. So I mean to say, somebody's come to my website and signed up the newsletter, and they go to the thank you page. Now I will know how many people from google.com has gone to converted as a goal. Or if I've got e-commerce, I will know which particular search engine or which particular source is getting me more revenue. So this basically helps you to define your marketing needs. For example, if you're spending money in PPC and then you find out that the ROI is not so good in PPC, maybe you should think about alternate marketing avenues. Maybe for a particular target audience, TV advertising may work better, or newspaper ads, or whatever. So this particular report helps you to define whether the money you spend on your advertising needs is you're getting it back or not. The next one we have is the referring sites report. This is part of the traffic sources report. Now, when I say referring sites, it's like you put up your website at your profile of your Orkut account or your Facebook account, and then you notice people coming from those sites are actually converting more, rather than you spend money on some PPC program and that doesn't work. But then it's time to decide whether you can use this information. Maybe you can start advertising on these websites directly. So for example, if mine is a phone selling website and I see some phone related forums out there, and I'm seeing links, visitors coming from here, I can decide on spending the marketing budget on those forums directly. So like I said again, this type of reports help you to define your marketing needs. The next one we have is top content. So this report helps you in two ways. First one is for webmasters. How does it help? You will know whether the content you put up in your website is being actually read by the people. For example, you feel your index.html, I mean the root page, home page is the most important page, and you know people are coming like in hundreds of thousands for that particular page. But then here you see it's for that particular page, it's showing a 0, or maybe like in single digit, double digit, whatever. Then you know something is wrong. Either the page is not loading at all, that can be the first thing, or maybe you got an implementation error when you set up the analytics tracking code. So again, this, if you look here, content detail, so you can see all the information in detail here. So for example, index.html, that's my main page, and these are the other metrics you see here, like the page views, unique page views, time on site, bounce rate. Okay, can somebody tell me what's a bounce rate when it comes to Google Analytics? Yes, sir?
The bounce rate is the rate which will tell you how many people are actually leaving from your particular page or website. Not very page.
Yes, I think that's right. You are almost there, but like the others have said, it's like generally the first page exits. So you see a bounce rate of say 90%, you can think like, okay, 90% is good. But again, it's good in the negative sense, because 90% of people are exiting your web page from the first page itself. They are not going to the second page, which is pretty bad for a particular website or for any business.
Okay, excuse me, what is the average bounce rate which is there in the market?
Google Analytics generally doesn't give any markets for any particular metrics. So you might ask, what's the average page views or average visits number? We don't have a number actually per se, but there is an advanced feature in Google Analytics called benchmarking. So if you enable benchmarking for a profile that's tracking the website, that will compare your website's performance with that of your industry's performance. So if your website is about music or music related instruments, something like that. So if you enable benchmarking, there you have the option of choosing only music related websites. Then it will plot you graphs and you will know whether like the average is below industry standards or above industry standards. Okay, the question was what happens if somebody opens a web page, leaves it like that and goes out for a lunch, comes after dinner, and then sees, okay, the page is still open, and then closes it. What happens? It will be still considered as a bounce rate. Because it's basically a single page visit, right? There hasn't been no clicks there.
But time spent on the page will be more.
I'm sorry, sir?
The time spent on the page will be 1 hour. Will that be considered?
Okay, so the bounce rate and time on site are generally correlated. So how is time on site calculated? A visitor goes to page A and then he clicks on another link and goes to page B. Then the time on site will be calculated depending on how much time you spent on page A. But in the current scenario we are talking about, the visitor is visiting page A and he spends like 30 minutes there or 1 hour there, whatever. He exits from that particular page, not going to the other page, then the time on site will not be calculated. That will show up as 0.
After 1 hour, he is clicking to another page?
Yeah, then that will be calculated. Then in that case it will be calculated. But if it's exiting the website altogether, it will be considered as 0.
What is the predefined time like a user should spend on your page so that it won't contact object, especially commenting that these many seconds.
So the question was, what is the minimum number of time you need to spend on a particular page not to consider as a bounce rate, right? So we don't have a specific time as in like if you spend one hour here or 2 hours on a particular page, that will not be considered as a bounce rate. That's not true. Like I said, unless he visits page B, if he's still on page A for 3 hours and exits the page, that will be a bounce rate.
Okay, so if he navigates to some other page within the site.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's true. Okay, moving on. Oops. Which particular source are the visitors coming from? So that can be identified using a drop-down menu at the top. That's generally here. That's called dimension box. There are around 20 dimensions using which you can cross-segment data. So the dimensions are listed there, like it can be source, medium, campaign. You can segment by language, by city, by country, etc. So this helps you to segment your data and analyze information further. So you might find particular visitors to this particular page are coming from a particular city. Maybe something is special about this page that is relevant to the city. You can look into the information there. So I'm coming back to the webmasters community here. There are certain information that you can collect from the visitors using Google Analytics, and certain information you cannot collect. So the simply put, you cannot collect a visitor's IP address using Google Analytics. That's against because of privacy concerns, you cannot collect that information. But you can collect information like what's the connection speed, what is the browser type of your visitors. Because as a webmaster, you would like to know whether the website you're building is it too heavy for the load, or maybe a visitor who is sitting in Coimbatore or maybe a second tier, third tier cities, they may be using dial-up connection. And if you have a heavy flash intensive website, I don't know when the page will load up for them. And like I said, you will be getting like hundreds of thousands of visitors, but they might never see the page at all. So these parameters help you to decide using which particular resources you need to design the website for. Who are your target audience? So for example, you can use information like browsers. So you have Internet Explorer, Safari, Firefox, but you can also drill down further. So Internet Explorer, drill down further. Check out whether they're using 5, 6, 7, 8 or whatever. So when you're designing your website, you will know what percentage of your visitors are coming from which particular dial-up connection, I mean the network connection, and what particular system resources they are using, so that you can design your websites accordingly. You are getting a lot of visitors from India. Maybe your site is an India-facing website, and you are getting a lot of visitors from India. You can think of creating a marketing campaign targeting exactly only to Indian market, maybe a PPC campaign or whatever. So this helps you to determine where, from which to which particular location you need to concentrate your resources. Or maybe using Google Organic, you find visitors are coming only from India again. So that I will know my website is India facing, I'm getting visitors from India, just go to Webmaster Tools and choose the India as your geographical location. So this helps you to determine how you are going to concentrate and where you are going to concentrate your marketing resources. Goals. That's the ultimate point of a website, right? So why do we have a website? It's either you have some information that you want to pass it to the users, or you have something to sell to the visitors, or you have some, say, newsletter sign up that you would like the visitors to complete. But what's the whole point if you are not going to track all these events? If you are not going to track how many people signed up your newsletter, or how many people bought the Nokia phone from your website, then there's no point in spending the money. There's no way to calculate the ROI. So that's where goals comes into play. So these goals can be anything. Like I said, the potential goals can be e-commerce, depending on a website. It can be lead generation, or maybe it can be a forum, and you can think about member acquisition as a goal. Or if you are thinking about a purely content generated website, then time spent on that particular page or time spent on the website can be considered as a goal. So one of the interesting things about goals is funnels. How many of you use funnels here? Like I know many of them use Google Analytics, so I thought, okay, not bad. So what exactly is funnels? Funnel literally means you are able to track the path using which the visitors are moving within your website. For example, I have a website. The goal of my website is to sign up the thank you page. Reaching the thank you page after signing up for my newsletter. But then I want to track how many people follow a set process. Page 1, page 2, page 3, goal. So further, and then at the end, only around 20 to 30% are converting. So now this gives you an idea of the visitor behavior within your website. So now you know only around 65% come to the second step, and then around again 65% go to the third step, and information like this. But the other takeaway here will be, you notice people are exiting the website, you need to find out where they are going. Are they going to page 5? Are they exiting the website altogether? Or stuff like that. So this will help you to design the website architecture better. So assuming mine is an e-commerce portal, and one is like choosing the product, the second step is the payment information, third is the confirmation receipt page. But then I see before people are entering payment information, they're exiting the page altogether, or maybe from that 20% of them are going to the privacy policy page. Then I know that people are worried about the privacy policy, and I don't want to take the risk of them from before entering the payment details. I don't want them to go to the privacy policy. So I would rather make privacy policy bigger and bolder in the first page itself, so that I have a chance of retaining those 20% and converting them better. Yes, sir. The main point of tracking goals, the main condition that's needed is the goal page. You should be able to access that goal page, the code, because you should be able to enter the analytics tracking code in the goal page. So in your case, if it's a third-party website where you have no control over the goal page, then I don't know, maybe you have page 1, page 2, and people click on a link and go to the affiliate, the company, parent company.
Just a button book now, I'm redirecting the user to the affiliate website.
Yeah, in those cases, like assuming you don't have access to the code of the main page, yeah, then all you can do is track the number of people clicking on that button. That's the maximum you can do there. Because the main reason is you need to have access for the goal page.
Almost same. In that case, there are fixed 7 pages, 7 steps or 8 steps.
Yeah.
In my case, I'm not having that fixed 7 steps, but I am continuously pumping content into one page, the index page, which is news or something like that. Okay. So how can I track something like this? Because every day the things will be different, and every day the index page will be changing several times.
So what will be your goal URL there? What is the goal? What do you want the visitors to do there?
I want to find out from where people are exiting. So generally it is very difficult for me to find out from where people are exiting.
Yeah. So I hope you got his question. So his question is, if in the home page you have multiple links to external websites.
So it's not exiting.
All the news pages are.
I am publishing around 600 or 700 stories per day.
Okay, so everything, all the news stories are from your own domains.
In my own site, the same domain.
Okay, then you should be able to find out, go to those individual pages, like you have page 1, page 2, page 3 there. You go to your top content report, look at information for that particular page, and see how many people are exiting from that page. Yeah, Even that's the second option. Other thing is, like I mentioned, you can also check out, go to the individual pages and check it there. Or the easiest way is top exit pages. Okay. So, any questions regarding funnels and goals?
Yeah, just a bit alternative to what he asked. So in
Okay.
this case, he is not having the access to the third party where he can place this particular Google Analytics code. For example, I can place the same Google Analytics code and finally we land in the thank you page. It will be considered as a conversion for this. I mean, the code is same.
Okay.
Because for tracking purposes, the code is being important. But the code is another external website.
Okay, so you have domain1.com and visitors move to domain2 and convert there.
Yeah.
So there is a method of tracking multiple domains. So if the visitor is going from one domain to another domain, and even though you have the tracking code set up there, so the goal conversion will be tracked. The goal will be tracked. But the problem is your referral information will be lost because of the cookie transfer. So in those cases, there is a workaround for that, wherein you have to add a couple of lines of code which will retain the cookie information. So if you make those modifications, everything will be tracked correctly. Okay, carrying on. Let's look at some of the e-commerce reports. So I need to mention one thing here. So e-commerce is not enabled by default. You have, suppose if your website you are going to track is e-commerce enabled, e-commerce related, and you want to track the information, then you need to enable it for each profile. Because like the other reports are available by default, but e-commerce is not. So the first report we'll look here regarding e-commerce is the conversion rate. So this basically gives you day-wise information about on what particular day, how much of the products have been sold or what's the conversion rate. So you will know which particular day or which particular dates are the trending happening there. You see an increase in trending, and the remaining days you see a decrease. Maybe you need to concentrate targeting only those particular days. And another important information you can see is, like I mentioned that, did changes I made to my site resulted in increased conversions. So maybe you may be running a promotion for a particular product, and for example today I made that change to the website and I brought the promotion to the home page. And when I check the reports next day, if I see a particular increase in information and for the particular product, I know it's because of this particular change. So this helps you to keep track of the e-commerce conversions when it comes to day-to-day basis. And when you make changes on your websites particularly. You had a question, sir? Yeah.
Once the visitor land up in goal page, so if we refresh that page, will it consider as two goals?
Okay, if the visitor lands on that goal page and he refreshes, yes, it will be considered as a second goal. It will happen.
How we can avoid that?
Two steps. There's steps, right? First you have to fill the form and go to the form. Go to the thank you page. Each and every time only fill the form. If you accept a goal directly to the thank you page, each and every time you refresh, it goes to the goal increases. So use steps in analytics to form. The first step would be to fill your form. Second step, the thank you page, which is your goal. So each and every time only if he fills and go to thank you page, your goal is formed. Okay.
How do you determine? Yeah, that depends on the particular website and the traffic also. So now if the traffic is going to be very low, then the conversion rate will be low, yes. But this will not, you cannot make an independent judgment on this, but this will give you an idea of how your website is performing there. So other important report in e-commerce is the visits to purchase. So for example, if you look at the report here, you can see that one visit purchase, there has been like 53% transactions. And then drilling down further, you have two visit purchase, 16%, and so on. So this gives you an idea of how many people who land up in your website the first time, finish the purchase and go off, because that's good for your website. And this report gives you information on which of the products is very famous. Not famous, popular. So you have a website that's selling different types of phones, say different types of mobile phones, Nokia, Motorola, Samsung, and etc. etc. Then you see that only one particular brand of phone is being selling in a very fast pace or is being very popular. Then maybe you can try to increase your inventory for the particular brand. So this gives you an idea of which particular product or which particular product category is being very popular in your website. So we are done with the reports. Any doubts as of now? Any questions?
Plan to bring in associate tracking into Google Analytics
Um,
through some
Is it possible to bring affiliate tracking or associate tracking to Google Analytics through some URL parameters?
So right now we don't provide it officially, straight away. But like you mentioned, you have to do it as a parameter and you have to do it hard code it at your end right now.
One way to achieve it would be like post a view track page view, right?
Yes.
Do that with the affiliate ID and then track it and send. But it's kind of roundabout.
Yeah, like I said, so right now we don't have that facilitation to track straight away. But I don't know, just keep watching. Anything can change in this analytics world. So, yeah.
Okay, I just want to know if the data available on Google Analytics is used to determine the SERP ranking of a website. Let's say my website has got 100 visitors and a competitor has got 1,000 visitors. All other factors being the same, let's say backlinks, will this affect the ranking of my website?
Okay, to make things clear, using analytics in your website will not affect organic search. Or for that matter, it will not affect your AdWords performance also. So if you think like, okay, if I use analytics, my CPC will come down for a particular keyword, no. They are completely independent. It's generally independent for all the products. For example, if you are using Website Optimizer, so that's a general question I get. You use Website Optimizer, so I optimize my website, will I get better rankings in Google? No, you will not. Is that fine?
If you put Google Analytics code in HTML newsletter, can be tracked by this Google Analytics that if user has read the newsletter or not?
That's not possible. So if you are sending a newsletter, HTML newsletter, and you got analytics tracking code, that will not be possible. But what you can do is, if you have a link from the newsletter to your website, say like visit our website or something like that, you can manually tag those links. And if the visitor click on the link, you will know, okay, my newsletter, so many visitors came from there. Yeah.
However, if I just put one unique image on that newsletter, and if the newsletter loads, the analytics, is there no way out?
If you put up a unique image, then it's not possible to track because images cannot be tracked using analytics, right? You need a HTML page, a page for analytics to function. But what you can do is, assuming you do follow that method, you can check your raw log files and see how many times. Yeah, that's the only way possible. Okay, so now we have a look at how you can integrate analytics with other related Google products. I know most of you might be familiar with this, but I thought I'd just run it down again. With Google AdWords. So Google AdWords, as you might know, is a way to promote your website. To drive targeted traffic to your website. Okay, visitors are coming to your website, but after that what? Are you measuring the success of the website? Success of your visitors? Do you know how much time they are spending there? Or whether the visitors are converting, they are into goals or e-commerce revenue, all the information. So to find all this information, you can link up your AdWords and analytics account. And once that's done, you can just go to traffic sources, AdWords, and you'll have all the information from your AdWords visitors. You can also compare your performance of your AdWords visitors versus your organic visitors. So if you think organic visitors are converting better than your AdWords visitors, take a decision there, whatever it's. And one point to note here is, what happens generally is for AdWords data to show up in your analytics account, it takes a minimum of 24 hours. because all your AdWords cost data is imported to your analytics account only at the end of day, or rather like every 24 hours. So for example, if you see today's click information will not show up by today evening, but maybe by tomorrow noon.
Even after 24 hours, you never find the same data in AdWords analytics. For example, if I have 100 clicks from my problem is that we never find the same data in AdWords analytics. For example, if I have a 200 clicks in AdWords, and if I try to track the same data in analytics, I will find a lesser number of data.
That is because of fake clicks. That is because of fake clicks. And 10% is a fake click. You have to take it default.
Okay. Excuse me. Yeah.
It's a fake click. And 10% is an official declared number.
So if
Yeah, I'm sorry.
okay, so this 8% data is industry specific or the average?
No, that's fine. So
8% is a big figure. If I have a 1 lakh clicks for a 1 month time period, and 8% is a fraud, then
So there are two things that I need to define here. So you mean to say you have 100 clicks from AdWords, and when you see your analytics account, which particular data are you looking at? Are you looking at visits information, or are you looking at clicks information?
No, click information. That is from Google Organic.
Okay, so you are referring to visits then.
You can see from CPC.
Yeah.
Click from CPC.
So then I assume you are referring to visits information.
no, visit is separate thing. I'm talking about the number of traffic I'm getting from AdWords.
AdWords.
So if I have 100 clicks, it means that I get 100 visitors from AdWords.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
So 100 people, I get 100 people on my website.
Okay.
Whether they are visitors or fraud, I don't know. But for me, if I have 100 clicks on AdWords data,
Okay, I will address that concern. So there are a couple of reasons why that might not happen. So if there are 100 clicks on my AdWords on your ad, and there will be only say 80 visits, that you need to take into consideration people might not let the page load completely. They might just click on the ad and they might close the ad. That's one thing. Second thing, you need to look at their browser capabilities. We don't know whether they might have cookies blocked or they might have JavaScript blocked, and that particular page may not be tracked at all. So these are the two main concerns. But if you still feel something is wrong, you can always write into the support, AdWords or analytics support, because there can be a lot of other reasons. We need to look into the account directly.
Let me add to that. You can pull out a report which says campaign performance for invalid clicks. So
Okay.
Google discount the money that you have paid for invalid clicks. So maybe that could be one of the reasons.
how to track those invalid clicks?
So that is what of seeing the difference in.
I'm sorry. I think the topic is veering towards AdWords invalid clicks.
That is the burning issue.
Yeah, I'm right. But actually, I'm not very much qualified to handle that information. But please feel free to write into us. And like I said, it can be account specific. So we need to look into the account and then we'll get back to you on that.
I just want to point out that in the interest of time,
Okay.
we can try and keep some time for questions at the end.
Okay.
But if there are questions which need to be answered, please feel free to take.
Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, after you integrate your AdWords and analytics accounts, you can compare information at the campaign level, or if you want at the AdWords level, or rather if you want at the keywords level. So you know which particular keyword is performing better, whether a particular keyword is converting or not. So I think the screenshot just missed it, but generally we'll have tabs like the tab you saw earlier, goal conversion, e-commerce, and information like that. So for a particular keyword, you will know whether you are getting goal conversions, whether you are getting e-commerce revenue there or not. Then you will know whether that particular keyword is performing as per your expectations or not. Okay, this is a new feature that's still in the phase of being rolled out, integration with AdSense. So this is a standard AdSense account, and that's my account. So don't think it's just because of today's earnings. My all-time earnings will also be zero then. AdSense and analytics accounts. This gives you information like from which locations are visitors clicking on your ads, or from which particular page is very popular with the AdSense visitors. So for example, to access your accounts, assuming your accounts are linked, you can just click it through the AdSense interface, or you can as well go straight to your AdWords, your analytics account and access your reports there. So this is a sample report that I needed to block out some certain information, but this is from the all traffic sources. So basically it will give me information like all the traffic sources, google.com, orkut.com, yahoo.com, whatever, everything is listed here. But if you notice there's a new tab here, AdSense revenue. So clicking on that, I will know which particular source or which particular medium is getting me more AdSense information, more AdSense revenue. So like I said earlier, now you know the information, act on it. With Google custom search, so we saw custom search in the morning session, right? Or rather, was it in the noon? Okay. So with Google custom search, I believe most of you know about the site search functionality in Google Analytics. So you have a website and you have a site search within your website, then that can be tracked using Google Analytics. All you need to do is you have to enable it in your analytics profile, and once you do that, if a visitor comes to the website and search in the search box, that information can be tracked. Now, you have Google custom search, which can replace your site search. I mean, you search for a website. Once that's done, a visitor searching in the the custom search box, the information can also be tracked like the normal site search. But there is one small consideration here. The setup, everything is similar to what you do in site search. So you get the query parameter, put up in your profile settings, and your the search details will be tracked. But then, when custom search happens, there are 3 ways your results will be displayed. One is through iframe, other through overlay, and the third option is Google hosted. So what basically happens is Google hosted is the results go to the google.com results page. So if you are going to use google.com, Google hosted pages, then your site search information cannot be tracked. Similarly, it goes for the overlay page also. Overlay page, it will just show up as a interstitial overlay page, and information cannot be tracked. So if you need to track site search using Google custom search, then iframe is the only best option. So when you go to your custom search account and you make all the other definitions, you define everything there, then you have the option of host the results on your website. That's where you have 2 options. One is through iframe, other is through overlay. You choose the option iframe, and these are the normal setup for custom search. There is nothing related to analytics. But what I'm trying to point out here is, if you want to track using analytics, then iframe is the best option. Because there are a lot of queries that come into us and say like, I use custom search, but site search data is not being tracked. But when I look at their account, I will find it will be generally hosted in a google.com page, or it will be hosted as a overlay part. So we talk about integrating marketing campaigns, the other Google products. But what about a general marketing campaign? Assuming somebody is advertising in YSM, Yahoo Search Marketing PPC product, how is it possible to track them? Or if you are sending a newsletter, somebody asked about visitors from newsletters. How can you track the visitors from newsletters? Or if you are doing referrals, the referring sites report, using that information, I advertise in a third-party website. How can I track that? So all this information related to a third-party website can be done using manual tagging. Manual tagging is basically you're adding a couple of parameters to your website, your destination URL or whatever you call it, landing page. And when somebody clicks on that particular link, the parameters will be set up in Google Analytics. So for example, I'm advertising in Yahoo PPC and I need to track all this information. By default, Google Analytics cannot track that. So when somebody clicks on a Yahoo ad and the page loads, Analytics will show it as Yahoo Organic, because Analytics doesn't know it's a PPC ad. So for that, you need to manually tag your destination URLs. You can say UTM source, Yahoo, UTM medium, PPC. So next time somebody clicks on that particular link, then Analytics will know, okay, this particular visitor is coming from Yahoo ad, Yahoo ad and so and so keyword, so and so, CPC for the particular keyword. But all these parameters you need to track, you need to manually tag. So we are done with the normal stuff. Anybody interested in advanced, like custom reporting? Okay, I thought you were going to ask questions. I'm sorry. So all the reports that you saw as of now are defined by Google. So Google says this is the report, this is the all traffic sources report, or this is the content report. but until now you didn't have the option of defining your own reports. So that's where custom reporting comes into play. This was launched like 3 months back or something, and well, you can define the reports the way you want. So you have a couple of terms, dimensions and metrics. So I want to track for a particular city, language, and say country. I want to know what is the goal conversion, or what is the usage, visitor statistics, pages per visit, information like that. So I am the one who is going to define the entire hierarchy of the report. Or else normally when Google defines the report, it's like you go to country, from there you go to city, and from there nothing else. I mean information there, that's it. But now I want to go to the country, and then from there I want to go to languages, and from there to city, from there to source. I don't know why you would want that, but in case you wanted that information, that can be done using custom reporting. So you define what your metrics are, you define what your dimensions are. So my first dimension is city, from there I need the language, from there I need country or continent, whatever you want. This is how my report will be. All the other information is the same. The layout, everything is the same, except if you notice here, the report you see is the one I defined. The first report, first data will be of city. If I click it and drill down further, I will see information about languages, whether it's like English, or whether it's Spanish, or whether it's Tamil, Kannada, whatever. And I drill down further, I will see country, because that's the hierarchy of report I have defined earlier. So this type of report helps you when you want to create not the normal conventional types of reports. So for example, I want to see visitors from Salem and from which particular country, because there's a Salem in Portugal also. So you can define reports like this. The next one we have is advanced segmentation. So most of you might be familiar with creating filters, right? So you want to see visitors only from Hyderabad, or you want to see visitors only from India. Then what do? I mean earlier, you need to create a duplicate profile, you need to create a filter that includes only information from Hyderabad or one from India. And the problem with that, oops, I'm sorry, one second. Battery down. Yeah. And the problem with that type of creating filters is your historical data cannot be processed. So you create the filter today, only data from today will be collected in the way you want. So that's where advanced segmentation comes into play. For example, now I've mentioned I need information for comparing PPC versus organic performance. So I need not create filters. I just have advanced segmentation. This is how my report will look like. All I need to do is define the segments that's available on the top right, and then apply it to that particular profile. So all information, now I know all visits, so I got so many. What is the PPC part, what is the non-paid organic part. So this can be applied to all the metrics, standard metrics that's available. And this is where you will be creating your advanced segment. The layout is similar to custom reporting we saw earlier. It's like usual dimensions versus metrics part. So now I need to check visits only for the PPC part. So I do source matches exactly, medium matches PPC. And I need to check only the Google, I want to do a comparison of Google PPC versus Yahoo PPC. Then I might say, and source is equal to Google, or source is equal to Yahoo, something like that. And once that's done, once I save the segment, it will show up in my segments report like this. So Google by default has enabled around 10 commonly used segments. This includes information like your PPC part, your non-PPC traffic, from search, from referral sites, like by default all these are defined. You can also create custom segments. So that's the one I created in my previous slide. So my segment will show up here, and once I select this segment here, I can see data the way I want it. So there's no need for creating filters, there's no need for creating duplicate profiles, and this will act retrospectively. Your historical data will also show up here. One of the most visually appealing report, but seldom understood report, motion charts. How many of you actually use motion charts here? Really? You understand the reports? No. You do? Oh, that's great, because you're the first person who said you understood the report. Honestly. So motion charts all the reports that we saw as of now is in 2 dimensions. You just see a x-axis, you see a y-axis, that's it. But when it comes to motion charts, it's represented in 4 dimensions. So your x-axis is 1, y-axis is 2, the third is the size of these bubbles, and the fourth is the color of these bubbles. So all this can be defined. So I define what my x-axis is, I define what my y-axis is, I define what the size of the bubble is. So for example, okay, this is in the all traffic sources. Now assume I go to the keywords report here. So each dot or each bubble represents a keyword. Now what I can do is, I can say x-axis will be defined as new visits, and y-axis I will define as percentage pages per visit, and then the size of this bubble I will define as revenue, and then the color of the bubble I will define as e-commerce conversion rate. Now when I trend it over time, so all you have to do is, once you define all this, you click on this play button, this will move over time. So for like the last 30 days, it will move over for 30 days, and these bubbles will start moving. So this will give you an idea of how in the last 30 days your particular keywords perform with respect to these 4 parameters I mentioned. So if the bubble goes up like this, then I know, like with respect to percentage new visits, there has been increase in pages per visit. And I see that bubble growing in size. I know, okay, revenue is coming in, and the color changes to red. Okay, that's real hot. I mean, the e-commerce revenue conversion is happening a lot there. So this helps you to give a trending of how the data is happening, trending of your data in the last, I mean, whatever time period you define it. You want it in the last 30 days, last 60 days, or what, however way you want. Okay, I think we are at the end of the analytics part. So this is what I wanted you to take away from the session. I don't care you forgot all the reports, that's fine. You forgot what goal is, fine, I am happy, that's not a problem. But please, remember these 3 important points. Measure, analyze, act. To measure, you have an analytics tool. Okay, you measure the data, then what? Analyze. Okay, you analyze that particular data, then what? Act on that data. Because analytics, like I said, gives you more than 80 plus, I guess around 100 reports right now. But what's the point of having those reports if you're not going to analyze the data or act upon the data? So this is the final takeaway from me with respect to analytics. I can take any questions on analytics right now, because after that we'll move to website optimizer. I'm sorry, I'll just. Yeah.
Okay, at times we see that just for experimental purpose we have used Google Analytics and a different analytics package on the same website in a similar fashion across all the pages. We see there is invariably a discrepancy in the data. And this has been tested multiple times over multiple websites, and always it has been the case that the data shown in Google Analytics and the data shown in other packages have been free with packages like ActiveStats or even more advanced stuff like Omniture, but there has always been some discrepancy. Now, why is that so?
So the question mainly is, why is there a discrepancy between Google Analytics data and data collected using a different analytics package? So the first thing I need to tell is, every analytics package has their own way of collecting data and reporting them. So for example, when I say Google Analytics has reported 10 visits, the definition of visits can vary with respect to Google Analytics or with respect to whatever, like Omniture or AWStat, whatever it is. So that's the first consideration you need to make. The second thing is, I'm sorry, that's all I can think of.
That's it.
Yeah.
The way they do it is different.
Yeah, like I said, the way they do it, the way it's measured, that's very big difference there. Yes, sir.
Questions on the funnel. My end objective is for someone to be either a paid member or buy some product on my website. But how do you program it in the sense that he can go through thousands of pages before he does any action? So how do you go about programming that? For your funnel, to go from 80% to 60 to 40 to action. Do you program every page, or what do you do? I don't know.
Oh, in terms of funnel?
Yeah, funnel.
So in Google Analytics, you can define only 10 steps as funnels. So if the visitor is visiting hundreds of pages, that's difficult to track using funnel visualization. What rather you might do is you define the goal and put up the last 10 steps or any 10 steps that you feel the visitor might do. For example, he lands on a particular page, he goes on a particular page, comes, on whatever analysis, further analysis you have done, previous analysis, you can use that information to track it. But the main disadvantage here is analytics will have only 10 steps to define. So it's up to you to decide what are the 10 steps and put it up there. Yeah.
How we can track subdomains with many sites, performance of subdomains with many sites, with Google Analytics.
Okay. So tracking subdomains with Google Analytics. Like I mentioned earlier, so if the visitor is moving from domain.com to sub.domain.com, then generally the cookie information is lost. So to avoid that, you need to make some modifications in the tracking code when you put up in the main domain and in your subdomain. Actually, our help center, in our analytics help center, you'll find the modifications that's necessary. It's just a couple of lines, extra lines you need to add the tracking code. That's it.
Okay, I have to interrupt, sorry. So in the interest of time, what we do is we have another 15 minutes to cover our website optimizer, and we can take questions offline as we probably gonna have. We are actually going to have some coffee and tea at the end after the closing note by Adam. So we dive into our website optimizer now and then come back for questions, with people probably over coffee, if that's okay.
Okay, it's like coffee with Karan, coffee with Deepak, okay? Okay, so website optimizer. How many of you, I know a lot of you are there in the webmaster community here. So this is a typical template, and I have a place for one image and place for one headline. Now, as a webmaster, website designer, I have a particular theme in my mind. My boss, my manager, has a particular design in his mind, and my super boss has another design in her mind. Then, at the end, I have my client who has their own design. Now, which of this design will you go to? Because at the end of the day, we will agree to a boss design because we need to keep our job the next day. But the problem here is you don't have any data to say like, hey, design 1 is better than design 2 or design 3 is better. So that's where website optimizer comes into play. So these are the common complaints that we hear a lot from webmasters. It's like, I don't know which particular design is working, or I don't know how to improve the conversion rate, or what should I do to get or time spent on site increase on my page, or stuff like that. I don't know how many of you are read this particular article. It came out last month. So what happened is one e-commerce company, they had a problem with their website because they see a lot of people dropping out from their funnel at a particular step. And then what happened was they recruited some company, a web design company or whatever, and then they made some changes. The web design company made some changes in the particular step, and the next year their revenue increased by $3 million. There was only one small change made in the website, and that change led to $3 million increase in revenue. Any guesses what that change was? So initially they had a login button before checking out, before entering the payment details. So they had a login button. So what happens to a returning visitor? He doesn't have an account, so he needs to create the account, and if they are very lazy like me, I don't think they'll bother creating an account. So they just dropped out of the funnel. So what this website design company did was, they removed that login button, and boom, $3 million revenue. But how did they find out? They didn't just like randomly do it. They said like, okay, I don't like this button, remove it. No. They ran experiments. They ran experiments using, I'm not telling website optimizer, Google website optimizer, but some A/B testing software. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to drive the importance of testing a particular page. So now coming back to Google website optimizer, we generally have two types of experiments running. One is the A/B type and the multivariate testing. So I will start off with multivariate testing so that I can say how easy A/B is. So remember this page, one image, one headline, and then I have 3 images to test along with 2 headlines. This is one headline and this is one headline. So I got 6 different combinations. But now I need to convince my boss saying like, okay, hey, a particular combination is working better and not the other one. How do I do it? So I need to define them each and everything. I need to define each and everything as a section and put it up in my web page. So when I run the experiment for like 20 days or 30 days, depending on the traffic in my website, and I set up the conversion page, I know which particular design or which particular combination is driving more sales. So there is no scope for guesswork there. Now I have hard actionable data. So I can just go and stand in front of my boss and say like, your design is not working, mine is. But if you are a lazy person like me again, I would prefer going for this, because all you need to do is create 3 different versions, or rather 6 different versions of the same page. Just change the image or change the headline according to the combination you wanted and run the experiment. This is called A/B setup. This is the simplest setup in Website Optimizer, but if you are like want to do some hard coding job and stuff like that, you can use this multivariate testing, which is really tough, believe me. So we provide some detailed graphs. When it comes to in A/B testing, it's very simple. We just show original, variation A, variation B, done, which is performing better, done. But here we have combinations and we have different sections. So in a typical report, this is how data will look like, and you can see the variance graph here. So you can see data in red and data in green. So that basically means how much percentage of will the particular section have in beating the original. So simply put, what's the probability that this particular section will beat the original? So the bigger the green is, better it's for me. So I know that particular section is working better. So like I mentioned earlier, combination 57, this one. The first one is the original, second one is the combination 57, and my Website Optimizer account says that is performing very good. So simply put, I have a question. Will Website Optimizer work for organic traffic? Anybody? If I create an experiment for Website Optimizer, will it work for the organic traffic?
Yes.
Yes, sure. Yes, Website Optimizer will work for all traffic. Because there was a misconception when I met a couple of my friends, and they are telling me that like Website Optimizer will work only with AdWords traffic. I asked why? Because you can access Website Optimizer from within AdWords account. I'm like, okay, that's a good point. But believe me, it works with all kinds of traffic. So if it's organic or AdWords or referral, it will work. And if you have an analytics package, say like you have Google Analytics or any other third-party analytics package set up in your website, this will not interfere with the functioning of that. So you can have any sort of analytics package and run Website Optimizer at the same time. Yeah, these are 2 points I wanted to tell. Okay, let me finish off by showing how we Google use Website Optimizer to optimize a page. So this is a Picasa home page, and we needed to find which particular variations will perform better. So we had a particular this thing here, text here, and we had some download links here, and then we had a couple of pictures. Come on, Picasa is about pictures, right? So we had a couple of pictures there, and then again we had some promotional data here, Google Pack. So we ran the experiment for some time, and guess what we found out? Pictures didn't work. That was the irony of it. Picasa is about pictures, but pictures didn't work. So only having a Picasa download now button and this information worked, but not Picasa picture. Okay, that's all I have right now. So if you have any questions, do you have time for questions? Yeah. Okay, 5 minutes. Paul, you have mics? Like having a picture there led to lesser conversions than having plain text there. Yeah.
I've done a couple of A/B testing on a couple of occasions when I did that, and most of the time the traffic was too little to really know if there was a difference. So is there an optimum traffic to a page in order to test something?
No, we don't give, like I said earlier, for analytics, we don't give a standard value saying like for A/B testing you need to have 5,000 visitors or 10,000 visitors. No, we don't do that. So what happens generally is until you get a clear winner, it will show you the information like data, you don't have traffic for information, some sort of messaging it will show, saying that the traffic you are getting is not enough for giving a definite winner. So until you get the required traffic, you won't get a definitive winner there.
Another thing is when I did these tests, it was slightly difficult putting in the code in these certain places and then remembering to remove it from all those places after the test was over. I did only A/B testing, not multivariate. So is it just my perception that it's very difficult? If it's multivariate, is it much more complicated to put the code and
Yes, multivariate is a bit tougher than that, because in multivariate you will be defining sections and in sections everywhere, right? So A/B testing is the simplest method of testing. Okay, we have the last question. Who is that?
We have our AdWords account linked to the Google Analytics, and for some reason our AdWords account was not working for 2 days. But on Analytics, under paid traffic, we still had hits which were showing, which was not possible because the AdWords account was not functional.
So when you say not functional, does that mean you had positive campaigns or the data was not being populated there?
There was an issue with the payment because of which the AdWords account was halted for 2 days.
You may have to write into us for us to investigate the account actually.
Okay.
So we may have to look into the account to decide the reason.
Okay.
I have actually integrated the AdSense with your analytics.
Okay.
It is not working. It is not showing. So I have got same same logins for AdWords, analytics, and everything. But
Okay.
it is not getting integrated. I don't.
So you mean to say you don't see the AdWords data in your analytics report?
No, I have got analytics for AdWords, and I want to use not like AdSense.
Okay, so AdSense is still in a beta phase. So if you are interested in signing up for this AdSense analytics integration part, you can visit AdSense blog. I mean, your own visitors are going to be IP based, right? It's more easier to identify rather than using the advanced segment thing. Okay, last question.
Can you give some suggestions to bring down the bounce rate?
The first suggestion I can tell is the product I just mentioned now, Google Website Optimizer. So using that, you will know which you will not be able to identify why they are exiting your website, but at least you might try out 2 or 3 different variations and see which particular combination is getting the bounce rate down, and you can use that as a website content.
If the home page itself has got some loading problems, will the optimizer show that?
No, that will not happen. That will not happen. Yeah, thank you everybody. Hope to have coffee with you all.